by far and away one of the most fun wins of the entire season, but it is objectively hilarious that this is the Suns team for the first time since 2009 that won by 40-plus points. Psychos and sickos unite for a 40-point blowout edition of the PHNX Suns post-game show, brought to you by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHNX365 when you sign up and find out why, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I'm Eric. That's Steven. Where's Noah? Where's Noah? He's behind the Mac somewhere trying to make the magic happen. The Suns won 129-89. You know what that means. It's time for that sexy sax, but where is it? Where's the sexy sax? Do you see? Oh, Noah's got the sexy sax tonight. A 40-point blowout win means producer Noah getting down, grooving with that sexy sax. But of course, the most important people, it's not Noah, it's all of you in the chat making all of the magic happen. Smash that like button. Like goal for a 40-point win feels like 250 is a good goal for us to get to today. So slap that like button, click the subscribe button. Steven, we are here. The largest Suns win since 2009. We got a whole lot to dig into. Gerald will be calling in from PHNX Arena. Where do you think is the most fitting way to start a 40-point blowout post-game celebration?
Start with the light goal before anything else.
It's true.
Largest margin of victory since 2009. Should be the largest like total.
Oh, so we need to bump it up. 400?
That sounds legit to me.
I don't know if y'all could do it.
I like 4.
I like 400.
I think they got some blue collar efforts.
Okay, yeah, we could do a little 400, and we'll get to you versus the city of Chicago later on in the show. But on the court wise, beyond the light goal, my mind is racing a million different places as to where we should start. So the floor is yours. Where do we start tonight, Steven?
Let's start where the game was won in the second quarter. You know, there's a specific faction for the Suns that got this nickname real early in the season.
What would that nickname be?
I don't know. I feel like the name aligned with them, just multiple efforts, gritty, non-box score type of efforts that they put together. It has nothing to do with putting the ball in the basket. It has everything to do with sacrificing yourself.
What would that name be?
The Blue Collar Boys.
Oh, and who came up with that? Yeah, raise your hand. Look at the little smile on his face.
But also, the fact that they never went anywhere, they just weren't getting played.
Not the first time that blue-collar workers are getting disrespected. Come on.
It's very 2025. But to that point, though, you see what happens when you find a way to get them minutes. Now, it's not going to result in what we saw tonight every game. But what if you just sprinkle that in for across multiple players, 15 to 20 minutes a game? Break up the offensive-minded approach with players that will do the things with multiple efforts defensively that allow for you to play to your offense more easily, more freely, more randomly, more consistently.
Yeah.
You see the result.
And this was a game where, you know, going into tonight, I think your main worry could have been the offense. Because like you mentioned, the Raptors have one of the best defenses as of late, despite being down a ton of their star players. But this game for the Suns, I mean, holding them to 11 points in the second quarter was wildly impressive. And we usually wait to give out our awards, but I think we got to jump into it. Let's start with our PHNX factors of the night. Give it to you. We got 4 PHNX factors, Steven.
It's crowded over there. They got 3 of the respective blue-collar boys on this roster in that group as well. Start with Tyus Jones, not a member of the blue-collar boys, but someone that's accepted multiple roles over the last couple of weeks and has gotten very comfortable in his role as not necessarily the 6th or the 7th man in the rotation, but the 8th or 9th man, usually the 3rd or 4th player that's getting into the rotation as they get into lineups over the course of the game. No complaints, no being down on himself, just picking up the production.
Yeah.
He's turned into a legitimate three-point shooter for this team in ways in which they've needed it from the periphery, not turning the ball over. And in addition to all of that, maybe my favorite thing is the effort we've been seeing from him defensively. He's not going out there locking people down. He's not turning into Drew Holiday or anything like that. But he's just coming up with timely deflections, communicating a little bit more. We're seeing more multiple efforts from him. A lot of that is becoming contagious for him because of the lineups that he's being used in. How can you not give multiple efforts when you're playing with Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro and Royce O'Neal? Like, it genuinely becomes contagious, and it's something that starts to trickle down from one lineup to the lineup that comes in after that.
Yeah, I mean, with Tyus specifically, it's a lot easier to get over the deficiencies that we have lamented about him when A, he's in a smaller role, aka not starting. Colin Gillespie got the start tonight despite Tyus Jones playing double-digit more minutes than him. But B, when you're surrounding him with hustle, defensive, energetic wings. And it's the same thing that benefits a guy like Devin Booker as well, who had 27 points tonight. But the team was playing fast because of all the other guys on the PHNX-Factor graphic. Tyus Jones is like the white-collar friend that hangs out with the blue-collar boys. Because Ryan Dunn, Cody Martin, Royce O'Neal, defensive-minded wings. I know Royce's defense hasn't been amazing as of late, but he still tries, and he grabbed 10 rebounds tonight.
That's very blue-collar.
Very blue-collar, and still shot 3 of 6 from deep. Same thing with Ryan Dunn. He grabbed 6 rebounds, shot 3 of 7 from deep. 17 points for Ryan Dunn tonight, one of his highest-scoring games of the season. And when you look at that template, you feel like it's been smacking us in the face in theory for so long when Ryan Dunn's been buried, when Cody Martin's been injured, and we're going to speak on another blue-collar boy that's getting another award later on. But you see the template around these offensive-minded stars: defense, hustle, energy, effort. And honestly, you do have to give some credit to Mike Budenholzer tonight, because while his hand was forced with Bradley Beal and Grayson Allen being out to play some guys, Nick Richards and Mason Plumlee were both available tonight. And they only played 16 combined minutes. And it was the right choice. So the buttons were pressed the right way for tonight. I know a lot of people listening or watching this are not going to be bought in on the turnaround. I'm not either. But foundations and layers are being laid, and even if it's late, Steven, at least it's happening.
And that's the thing. It was never happening for a solid 2.5 month stretch. It was, do these guys care about defense? Is there a defensive process they're playing to? Are they capable of putting together a couple of stops in a row? And then the last 3 games, basically last 3 quarters of the game against the Kings, the second half against the Lakers, and then the last 3 quarters of the game tonight, we saw exactly what we've seen that they're capable of when they play the right players in a blend with their offensive talents. Now, the challenge is going to be for Mike Budenholzer and company is to find minutes for these players when Bradley Beal and Grayson Allen are back in the rotation. And that's definitely going to be a challenge. But these players are showing you that when you do have that in your rotation, it's something that you can actually build your game plan around, because now they're getting all types of points off of turnovers. Now they're playing with fast breaks. We talked about the lack of fast break points. They've been dead last in the league pretty much all season long. Now all of a sudden they're getting 20 fast break points in the game, 15 fast break points in the game in moments where they were never getting those. They're seeing the defense sustain. I talk about the kills, getting 3 stops in a row. How many of those did they compile in tonight's game?
A lot. And part of that is the
positive
opponent.
it was a season high for them. Like, yes, some of that is them going against the Raptors without some of their top-end talents. But again, when you talk about them doing something that we haven't seen from them, it doesn't matter what the opponent is doing if your opponent is yourself.
Sure. And I think to that point exactly, and they mentioned this on the broadcast, we've seen this team take their foot off the gas. I mean, think about the last time they played the Raptors. It wasn't obviously as much of a blowout, but it was, hey, we're up on this team. We can win this game. And then Toronto just snapped back into
avalanche.
it. Literally, like one of the most impressive three-point onslaughts we've ever seen. And when you take what this team has given you as a fan, as an analyst of basketball, as a casual observer, however you're viewing this team, you would say coming off of that loss to the Lakers, this is not a team that would have been capable of putting together a 40-point win against anybody. Can we pull up our pregame predictions? Because if you guys don't know this, we do a pregame show 30 minutes before every single game. And the line for tonight's game on Bet365 was -9.
Yeah.
And we were on the pregame show talking about how the Suns did not earn that line. This is what our predictions were before the game from all four of us here on PHNX Suns. Espo had Suns by a shrug. I had Suns by 1. Gerald has Suns by 4. And somehow we played the prices right, Steven. And you got the closest without going over with Suns by 5, right? So as much as this doesn't change, like I'm not saying the championship run starts today.
Not at all.
But we'll look at playoff seeding later, talk about the margins that this team had. And this is the type of game they couldn't afford to lose. Not only did they not lose it, they emphatically stamped that they were here. And a 40-point win can be the type of win to change the trajectory of a season. Whatever that trajectory means in the long run, probably not great. But it's hopefully going to be better than where it was heading before.
And that's the thing. It's just continuing to move the chains. Not working backwards, not going against the grain in terms of your progress. Just finding those pockets to find lineups that work together. Find specific player combinations that work together. That break up what was not working with their rotations on consistency. Finding ways to get wins. And we've seen a template over the last 3 games now that works for the Suns. And that's a large involvement of the blue-collar boys playing in tandem with one another. And we haven't really spoken about the things that Cody Martin and Ryan Dunn did defensively today, but
let's do it.
Those two. You want to kick it off?
I mean, I feel like with Ryan Dunn, we've spent a lot of time talking about Ryan Dunn or what Ryan Dunn could be. Cody Martin proving to be somebody who should be in this rotation and bringing exactly the type of stuff that you need from a guy like Ryan Dunn, but with a little bit more of a veteran edge to him. That's massive for what this team is trying to do and save the season. Because like Book said postgame, they don't have a choice. Like, this is the deck of cards that they've dealt themselves. And Cody Martin, I don't think will play a small role in helping them dig themselves out of this hole.
And that's the thing. You need options when you're talking about trying to go up against the teams that they have set up in the schedule the rest of the way. The offensive talents that they have to find a way to at least shut their water off in some capacity. You don't get to that point with this Suns roster if you don't have someone else that can replicate the efforts and the dynamic that Ryan Dunn has for your defense. And Cody Martin is very much a player similar in stature, similar in athleticism, very similar in terms of the activity that he can compile, the defensive playmaking. That's what you need. And they can't necessarily play together, but when you have one that you could put in for an 8-minute stretch, and then that goes from him to another player that can, like I said, do some similar things and maybe do them even more effectively at times depending on what the matchups are. Now you have a defensive process, some layers within your lineups and rotations that you can start to rely on. It breaks up the lack of activity that we saw for that 2-month stretch where their defense was the absolute worst in the league.
Yeah. And yes, obviously playing Ryan Dunn's going to help in all of that. Only 24 minutes tonight from Dunn, but obviously a really big impact from him. But think about how those two can help each other, even if they're not on the court at the same time. When you're guarding some of the best players in the league, which obviously did not happen tonight, when your number one stopper goes out of the game and you don't have somebody to step in and replace, that guy can get into a groove. Think about when Ryan Dunn checked out against the Lakers, Luka hits his first field goal of the night. That helps Luka get on track. And I'm not saying that Cody Martin and Ryan Dunn are going to instantly become the duo that shuts down every star player in the league. But he's a tool at your disposal that you haven't had before, and it's going to make everybody's life easier, including Ryan Dunn, who will hopefully be then picking somebody back up who wasn't able to get into as much of a rhythm while he was off the court.
And I think the trickle down that's probably of most value is that when you have those players on the court, you can actually rely on them to keep and honestly takes a lot of the pressure off of Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, where they have had to guard some of the tougher matchups. You have players that not just can, but are accepting of and willing to, and really desire to more than anything, to take those matchups and play with a certain level of activity that takes a load off of those players. Where their defense and their activity also allows for those two players in Booker and Durant to not have to go against a set defense possession after possession after possession. That helps to break things up. And either scoring in the open court, Devin Booker's taking those pull-up transition threes that he loves to get to, or getting to the basket in a one-on-one scenario in transition. There's just immense value to that. And again, you don't get to that without Bud playing those players. So as much as we talk about the lack of process with the rotations, we give him a salute for tonight. But now he has to continue to find ways to get those players minutes.
Yeah, thanks to everybody in the chat, including Let's Talk About Everything, who says it's the Raptors. And I totally get it.
For sure.
But it's a 40-point win, right? You didn't win by 5, you didn't win by 6. Steven, are you changing your entire mind about the Phoenix Suns?
Not even a little bit.
Chat, are you changing your entire mind about the Phoenix Suns? No. We just saw them have a great game against the Kings, right? And how do they follow that up, right? There's still so much for this team to do, but we have been put in this position as people who follow, cover, are fans of this team, to appreciate things like this, right? And it does give you hope because a lot of this stuff feels sustainable. You didn't have 25, 30 points from Ryan Dunn, 80 points from the bench. It's like, wow, how are you going to do this again? No, you won with things that are sustainable, things that are consistent. Now, are you going to be able to do that? It's still yet to be seen. But we talked about 4 guys that earned PHNX-Factor, and there was one guy who was left off that list. He's going to be our star. You guys let us know in the chat who you think that is. Remember, the light goal, it's a big one. Blame Steven for that one. I don't know if y'all can hit it, but I would love to see it. We're already a 4th of the way there, and we're a 4th through the show. So that is a good pace to be on. Hit that like. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to give our big, bright, shining star to a very deserving player right after our first break. Wait. Hold up. Pump fake. Mellow.
Coco, Mina, and Christopher, I see y'all.
Oh.
I see y'all.
We'll explain that later after our first break. Not trying to throw shade at the Raptors, but they are downright trash. I am trying to throw shade at your patio because you want to extend your outdoor living space with a custom fit awning, and I guarantee you want to do it with All Pro Shade Concepts. In business for 20 years in the Valley, the most trusted local shade company, voted #1 by Ranking Arizona for patio shades in 2024, A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google, including one from Espo, who had the All Pro Shade Company people come out there and go, hey, that's a crazy comment, Kev. That's a crazy, sorry. It takes a lot to throw me off of an ad read. Crazy comment, but what's not crazy is how amazing All Pro Shade Concepts is. They get in, they get out, they make sure everything is so smooth and make sure that your patio is blocked from the sun and keep it 20 degrees cooler in the summer. They're licensed, bonded, and insured. Call 623-204-1476 or visit allproshadeconcepts.com right now to schedule your free estimate. And remember, we are coming up on the last 14 days, last 2 weeks of Truck Month over at Sanderson Ford. Y'all in the comments are crazy. Get some crazy deals over at Sanderson Ford from the entire lineups of Mavericks, Rangers, F-150s, and Super Duties. I do it to myself, right? But guess what? I might not be always the most consistent when it comes to keeping it cool on air, but no pressure, no hassle, no nonsense is how Sanderson Ford keeps it cool. They will be the best for you to purchase a car because they're not treating it like they are trying to get a quick buck. They want to make sure that you feel welcome. They want to make sure that you make the right decision because they know, since they're a family-owned and operated company, that if they treat you right and they treat their customers right, well, those customers are going to keep coming back and they're going to tell other people. And that's exactly how they've sustained their business for so many years in the Valley. But just remember, all Truck Month offers expire on March 31st. All right. Yeah. By the way, saying their full name is crazy. You scolding them. Do we want to get to? I think we'll get to why you had to scold some people later in the show because I have just the best. Crazy. I have the best picture of all time, but we'll get to that later, probably after I incriminate myself a couple more times. By the way, y'all are killing the likes. We got to set these higher like goals more often, man. Y'all are absolutely killing these likes. But you know who else was killing it? our big, bright, shining star, presented by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
I'm a big, bright, shining star.
Also, Iguodala. What more can you say?
That's it. That was our big, bright, shining star.
That's it. I mean, we've spoken to this young man needing more minutes, not just for his personal development, but because there's an impact to the team that no one else can replicate from his position in particular. And how when he's on the court, activity continues to ramp up and it sustains in a way that doesn't come without flaw, because there's physicality dynamics and components to the game that he's still working around. But the activity part and the way that they can sustain on defense is something that you can actually build around. You can build your rotation around. We know what we're going to get when this player is on the court with this player and one other player that identifies with the defensive end of the floor. And spearheading a whole lot of that over the last 3 games has been also Iguodala.
Yeah, longtime fans of the show, back when it was White Noise producer Eric, know that me and Plus Minus have a fun history. I used it a lot to troll Espo and the crew last year. But there are a lot of times where Plus Minus can be used in a valuable sense. It's when A, it matches the eye test, and B, it reveals a pattern. And with Oso Iguodala, it's revealing a pattern. Tonight, a plus 39. And it was instant. I think he was like a plus 23 in the first half. When he checks in the game, this team goes on runs. They play fast. They play better on defense. He crashes the boards, and he finishes at the rim as well. And sure, he's not having the highest scoring night, 9 points, but he grabbed, like you mentioned, 10 boards, a couple assists, a steal, a block. But it's not even about the stats with him. Like, genuinely, you just watch him play. You don't got to look at the box score or anything like that. And you say, this dude is a player. And I said this online. The most impressive thing with Ryan Dunn included, but I think even more so with Oso, considering his benching, his gluing to off of the court was a lot more severe than Dunn, which in its own right is kind of crazy, is the fact that as soon as his name is called, he brushes it off like it's nothing. There was no rust with Oso. He got thrown in the fire against Houston, and since then he hasn't looked back. And he has provided something that Devin Booker, Kevin Durant have acknowledged as something this team has been missing, right? And it is an indictment on Bud, and one of our super chats says that, and we'll get to that in a second. But the fact that he hasn't been playing, but now I'm at the point where I'm just going to enjoy it, Steven, because he is just a fun basketball player to watch, and he's been somebody that real hoop heads have had their eyes on since the draft.
Yeah, and this is something that a lot of those people that we trust in terms of their observations of the draft to be accurate with when they're assessing, and also is someone that has quite literally played to that role to a T. The 3 biggest things that people spoke about: his athleticism, his defense, and his ability to pass the ball. And what 3 things have we seen him check off in terms of a box on his individual performance over the last handful of games now? The athleticism, the defense, and the ability to pass the basketball. Connecting things on offense, being a pressure release for them, a pressure release valve for them, hitting back doors, flowing in the dribble handoffs, getting the ball where it needs to be when they're being overplayed. And now KD's able to get back door. Devin Booker's able to get back door. And then on the other side of the floor, the defense, the defense, the defense, the defense. The switching, the rebounds, the ability to guard guards, get up a solid contest without fouling, being able to consistently just be there for his teammates and help. You just can't put a value on those things, especially when you're the 29th ranked defense in the league. Those numbers, in terms of being 29th, do not align with Oso Iguodala. One of my favorite plays, because people think defense is like a perfect concept. Defense is specifically to be played well through chaos. Yeah. Things are not going to work and go on schedule. You might supposed to be in a specific coverage, and then the offense comes out, maybe runs a play or they counter something, and now you have to make defensive decisions. There's a play in the second quarter where Oso and Ryan Dunn mess up a switch, and they're kind of arguing for a second, but they're able to get back into the play. They end up getting a stop from it. That's like the beauty of defense. It's about thriving in chaos, and they don't do that better with any other center on the court than Oso Iguodala for this team.
The most impressive thing about Oso is his mind, right? And it's why I'm very confident he's going to have a long career in this league. Now, do I think he's going to be a starting center at any point? The physical tools are a lot to overcome. And the fact that he can't really score outside of the paint consistently is something that he needs to work on. And if he can work on it, then we can have a different conversation. But you don't need to be a starter in this league to have a 10, 15-year career. And he has the type of mind, the ability to play make, like you mentioned, the ability to make great reads in defense and chaos. Like that type of stuff can carry over. And that's not gonna fall off. That's not gonna like walk into next season and all of a sudden Oso Iguodaro's brain dead. Right? If anything, he's going to improve and get better. His physical traits are going to get better. He'll get stronger. You can't improve the wingspan, but you can improve the touch. You can improve, the strength that you have as well. I'm excited about the long-term prospects, and it's why we were so upset that he wasn't playing. So Oso's obviously the star, but there were a lot of great performances tonight. We've talked about the blue-collar boys. We've talked about Tyus Jones, Oso Iguodaro. Before we take a break and get to some of these super chats, any other players that you really want to highlight individually tonight?
Devin Booker.
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
Devin is in a certain space right now with his playmaking, and it's something that's really changing things for the Suns, especially when they're playing off of stops in the ways in which they have in the second half of the Lakers game. Second quarter through the finish line in tonight's game. And then obviously the second quarter through the finish line in that Sacramento Kings game. When you can put him on the court with players that do a bunch of different things defensively, but also can contribute on a periphery to an offense that's built around him. That's been a template for success for this Suns team since 2019 when he's playing with the Twins. You surround him with wings that can do things and finish off of the attention that he garners on the offensive end of the floor while also helping to insulate him a little bit defensively. And that's a template that's been fairly positive in terms of plus or minus, if that's what one of the topics is that we've been speaking to early on. They just do a great job when he's on the court with those players of getting the most out of them. But also, in addition to all of that, I think his leadership is something that needs to get a little bit of attention too, because people have been asking to see more from him in that department. And you don't get the success that those lineups are seeing without somebody at least stirring the pot for that group on offense. And over the last 3 games, a lot of that has been Devin Booker, whether he's putting the ball in the basket himself or creating opportunities for others because of his playmaking prowess.
Devin Booker has not been the Devin Booker that we've known him to be a lot this season. Today felt like the calmest iteration of what he is in like the most complimentary sense. Only 8 of 15 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3, 8 of 8 from the line, 27 points, 6 assists. Like he was just smooth. He was good. He was what you needed. He was your offensive engine, but you weren't leaning on him too much. And he only played 32 minutes tonight, which is massive considering the stretch going forward. I think that's a natural transition to go into Kevin Durant, who only took 7 field goals tonight, played under 30 minutes for the first time since December 2003. And it was really just nice to not have to rely on him. Now, obviously, he hasn't had the greatest couple of games and only 14 points for him tonight. But the amount of 40-point games and the amount of just weight that's been on his shoulders and how much he's needed to be the best player night in, night out this late into his career. This is the type of roster that we felt like was going to be able to give him a break, Steven, and tonight he was able to get one.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people on Twitter talking about KD not taking shots early in the game. I think he took two shot attempts in the first quarter, and people were talking about the defense was cool and whatnot, but KD has to get more shots. KD has to get more shots. I can tell you now, no one was more proud to not have to have done much on the offensive end and still has seen the Suns put up 129 points.
That's crazy. I mean, Kevin Durant took 7 shots and the Suns put up 129 points on. Can you give me that Raptors stat that you gave me in the pregame show? Just because a lot of people are going to just discount and say it's the Raptors, and I don't blame them.
I mean, the Raptors had the second best defense in the league over the last 2 weeks. And if you go back to dates further than this 2-week window, they were like 4th in defensive rating. So this was no like small feat. I know the Raptors are the Raptors, yes, but a lot of their issues align with the offensive end of the court, not the defensive end. They've been very solid there post All-Star break. So this was not like some brush it off type of performance for them.
Yeah, and you saw early Darko Rajakovic throwing some pretty crazy defensive schemes out there, picking up Colin Gillespie full court. Here's the sentence. Colin Gillespie getting picked up full court within the first 2 minutes of the Phoenix Suns game, okay? That's crazy. But the Suns team handled that. They found their offensive process, and they were able to put away an inferior team. And that's something they haven't been able to do consistently. And yes, it's the Raptors. 89 points is not a great offensive showing from them, but look, we're going to take it. And they need to follow it up, for sure, but one step at a time. Let's see if they can string together 2 wins in a row for the first time since January. If they're going to do it, it'll be against the Bulls, which, again, we'll get into in a second. Steven, thank you all for being here. Make sure you hit that like button. We are making good progress on that like goal. So many of you already in the chat just hanging out with us on a Monday night. We still have your super chats by the numbers. Gerald's going to be calling in live from PHNX Arena and so much more for you right after our second break. I'm wearing green today. I'm wearing my All-City Day Drinking Champion shirt that you can pick up at our locker right now, but it is St. Patrick's Day, and I know a lot of you are probably going out there and having a good time tonight or are currently having a good time, and please be responsible. Please be safe. Take a Waymo. It's so easy. You just have to download the Waymo One app and you step into an all-electric Jaguar I-Pace vehicle. You're not hurting, the ecosystem. You're not hurting the environment by stepping in there, and you're getting into a reliable car, one that's driven over 40 million miles of real-world driving experience. It's enough to drive the moon and back 40 times. It's enough to drive you from the bar to your home safely. And I know that people like to go out beyond St. Patrick's Day, whether it's day drinking at a spring training game, going to a Suns game and getting drunk because you expect the worst, or just going over to a friend's house. Don't be stupid. Download the Waymo One app and ride in style today. We all lost our bets. This is our betting segment. We all lost our bets. It was tough sledding for us, but you can prove your worth over at Bet365, along with the 90 million users that it has worldwide. They have an early payout offer, which means if you took Suns money line today, as soon as they went up 20, let's say the Suns did blow that lead. Well, guess what? You would still get your payout for Suns money line because they do that for you on NBA and NHL games. It's really impressive. Plus, right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets. All you have to do to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose, is sign up. Use code PHNX365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 and get $150 in bonus bets no matter the outcome, win or loss. And that's great for us because we kind of lose a lot. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. At Bet365, you must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT-STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov. Sandman asked a question, asked us to talk about Monte and his playability. Monte Morris went damn crazy tonight. He had 5 minutes. 4 of 5 from the field, 4 of 4 from 3, scored 12 points. No chill in Monte Morris tonight, Steven.
Because he said he's trying to get minutes, man. That dude he can play. Monte is a hooper. Like, I think it gets lost because of whatever, and then the injury on top of whatever the reason was that he wasn't getting minutes. But when he was playing back in like early January, he was effective. I don't know, for people that maybe aren't paying attention to the numbers as much as maybe we are, but since we're talking about plus or minus, for Suns players that have played an X amount of minutes that were not garbage time related, do you know who's leading the team in non-garbage time plus or minus?
Let me guess. Monte Morris?
Yes. And it's like not even close. Second is like Oso.
I don't know why he ever fell out of the rotation. Obviously, he's been dealing with injuries as of late, but this kind of felt like an FU. Like, I still got it type deal.
I just don't get it.
I don't get it either. Tyus has been playing good recently, but I'd still argue Monte needs those minutes too.
And that stretch before Colin came back from his injury, and where there was a need for point guard minutes, but beyond Tyus, and when he was seeing his inconsistencies, I just don't understand how he doesn't get minutes in that stretch.
I mean, Monte was a piece over the summer we were really excited about.
He was.
Like, before Tyus, it was, oh, wow, the Suns solved their point guard, quote, problem with Monte Morris. But here we are.
Sorry, Tony.
Listen, with Monte, I would like to see him get more minutes. I'm comfortable with seeing Colin because that's the type of guy that you might be investing in next year. He's obviously been in your G League team, and he's a young player who I think has a place in this league. But Monte has a place to play consistent minutes on a good team. He can't be a starting point guard, but neither can Tyus. And defensively, I would trust Monte Morris over Tyus Jones, but I don't want that to take away from the great game that Tyus had tonight. They both had the same amount of threes. Obviously, one in garbage time against the Raptors, but the same amount of threes. And Monte just has that no fear type veteran mentality. Speaking of, we got some vets in our super chats. Let's start and get to those before we get to buy the numbers. And of course, Girth calls in. We got Matthew with a $2 super chat, says every good rookie game is an indictment on Bud.
I can't even be mad at people that look at it that way.
I
For
mean,
as
I
long
think it's
as
fair.
we've been tapping the sign on these guys need to play, these guys need to play, these guys can give you something that you are looking for, that you need to get wins. I can't be mad at people for looking at it that way, honestly.
Yeah, because it's not like they weren't doing this before.
They never did anything to have them taken out of the rotation.
And that's
completely.
the fireable offense, right? Like I said, if you just never saw him and we were just guessing, then okay. But it's different. This one from Bees is funny.
Bees, we appreciate you. One of the most consistent with the super chats and activity in the chat as well. B says, this team likes to gaslight TF out of us.
It is true. Word to John Cena, we're in an abusive relationship with them. Because, like, seriously, bro. Like, seriously, bro, think about it. It's so crazy. Like, 36 hours ago, where were we? Genuinely, where were we?
Yeah, I hear you.
And then after the Kings game, it's like, hey, I bought you flowers. Also, I just screamed at you. Like, it's, oh, here's some more flowers. Like, we're not changing our tune, okay? We're holding strong. We're celebrating tonight. This team is still out of the play-in. But you are very right, Bees. Matthew, also one of the most consistent. It's been consistent across multiple accounts. I won't bring up the other one, Matthew, since you don't want me to, but I remember. Says, we missed Okogie's energy more than we thought. Yeah, and maybe Cody Martin is the guy that fills that role.
Yeah, I don't like the Cody Martin is Okogie light comparison that we've been seeing on Twitter at times. They're not the same players at all. I do see there are similarities, but they're not the exact same.
The similarities is they're a wing that plays defense.
Exactly. That's it. Even
how they play defense is very different.
How they play defense is very different. How they exist on offense is very different as well. So they can exist in different ways while having similar impact on the game.
Yeah, I totally agree. Mike from Mesa 199 super chat says, I would fire the moron who benched the rookies.
Well,
me too. That's just me though.
Killer Rex with a super chat.
Yeah, wow.
That's a first, ain't it?
I don't know if it's a first, but it doesn't happen too
first
often.
In a minute.
New profile picture for Killer Rex as well.
I think it's insane.
Not the only one to have that
crazy.
profile picture. It's a crazy picture.
Nah, for real. It's $4.99 super chat from Killer Rex. We appreciate you. He says, what do you think goes through Beal? I can't even start off the sentence like that. What do you think goes through Bill's mind watching or seeing how much better the team plays without him and how much happier the fans are in the arena?
I know what goes through his mind. Man, that check's gonna look real nice.
Yeah.
Listen,
yeah.
Bradley Beal, we talked about this in the pregame show.
That's
out
tough.
for a week, reevaluated. Now, we're not gonna make our final assessments on what they look like without Bradley Beal because of the Raptors, but this is not the first time that this team has looked better statistically and eye test wise without him. I will stand by it. I know that you and Gerald disagree. I'm team shut him down. And that's just me. And that's because of nights like tonight. And I like Bradley Beal as a player. I don't like Bradley Beal as a player on this team. I like Bradley Beal as a person. And I think he has every right to feel happy with the amount of money that he's made and the career that he's had. But him and this team, it's like water and oil. And they just don't mix. It just doesn't work for me.
I mean, I can't argue against it. And the numbers are the numbers. We don't need to go over those again either. But it's a tough situation to see that and to see how often we see these type of runs and he's not involved with those. We got $1.99 super chat from Alyssa, one of the mainstays.
Of course. Always showing up to our watch parties despite having the longest drive probably out of anybody.
For sure.
Salute.
For sure. Keeping it real short and simple. Rookie power, all caps, exclamation marks afterwards.
Yeah. Amen to that. Speaking of the rookies, we have sound from Devin Booker talking about where Oso is having an impact and then how much fun he's had playing with those rookies.
In all aspects, I think defensively, the versatility to be able to switch and, still guard a guard, but still protect the rim. And offensively, just sprinting into screens, creating separation from the other big so they can't be up to blitz us. And, I just trust them in the pocket to make the right play on the backside every time.
For you, who's dealing with that type of defensive pressure, getting blitzed off of those screens, and just seeing the impact of the rookies on both ends, the energy and athleticism, how much fun is it for you when you're sharing the court with those guys?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. That second quarter was a lot of fun, and I believe they were both out there the whole time. And, they have the energy and athleticism, but they also have the IQ, which is the most important part.
I think there's two things that stick out. And Devin Booker speaking to the rookies, the energy and the athleticism and the IQ that he spoke to at the end. And in the middle, he highlighted and emphasized the ability for both of those two to switch and for both of those two to provide rim protection. With switching, a lot of times that means that the big to flatten out an opposing offense is away from the basket. That means that someone else has to provide some semblance of rim protection. And with that, we've seen Cody Martin, who's not a rookie but involved in that group, as well as Ryan Dunn, find ways to provide rim protection, whether that be Cody Martin taking charges, Ryan Dunn walling up at the rim, and naturally when Oso is around the rim, just being able to be a nuisance and providing that more traditional type of rim protection.
I'm sorry. Noah just dying laughing for one of the chats, and I was listening, and I'm like, you are a pro's pro, my friend, to be able to just stick through all of that. It's like the anti-Ron Burgundy who, like, whatever gets put in front of him in the teleprompter, he just reads. Mm-hmm. You are anti that. You are stone cold. Absolutely stone cold. I love what he's saying. I feel like that's what we've been saying about the rookies as well, and it's why we've noticed that they were special since Summer League, since the start of the season, and it's why we're like, oh, that's why they're getting run so early. Yep. Let's get back to these super chats. I did miss one from the very beginning. I think there was a couple that aren't showing up on our software here, so let me read these real quick. The Damari with a $1.99 super chat says, Bud stole Oso's double-double. Also, shut Beal down. I mean, I was fine benching Oso because he put in his work. A 10-10 isn't going to change the trajectory of his career. I'm just happy that he's playing.
Yeah. He did his work.
Yeah, absolutely.
He did his work in this one.
Teddy with a $1.99 super chat says, no KD 2 for 11, no Book 1 for 5, no PTO Lord 11 to 10. I don't know what those numbers are afterwards. Oh, these are the records. No Kevin Durant, Suns 2 and 11. No Booker, Suns 1 and 5. No PTO Lord, Suns 11 and 10. Goes, The numbers are the numbers. Billy with a $4.99 super chat. Thanks for pointing out that we missed some of these, Billy. I'm sorry that we missed these. We appreciate you super chatting. Sometimes before the show, guys, they don't come through on our end, on our setup here on the screen. So if we ever miss your super chat, we read them in order. Please feel free to let me know. You don't need to send another super chat. Just tag me and I will find it. Billy says, great win. I said they win by 11 if they keep the same rotation as yesterday. And yeah, LOL. My question, though, should we be worried about KD? Any thoughts?
Not worried about Kevin Durant. That dude is a dude, all caps. He's going to be fine.
I'd be worried if this is what it was like all year. Yeah. But like late in the season, this late in his career, playing 40 minutes per game, he has earned games like this. I'll be concerned if going forward this season, this is a trend. And then it will be very unlike him. And obviously with all the other stuff going around, a lot of people will start to draw conclusions about things.
Yeah. I'm not worried about KD. Yeah, he's gonna be who he is, an all-time great scorer.
I agree. Let's hit a quick break. We will hit your super chats. We're waiting for Gerald to call in from PHNX Arena, and we're gonna keep it rolling here on a Monday night with all the psychos and sickos right after our final break. We mentioned Alyssa, one of the faithful when it comes to watch parties. Well, we're doing a watch party at Spinato's on March 28th, and they do all sorts of watch parties over there, official ones, because it's the place to be for Suns fans. You can watch the games with Phoenix Suns dancers and the Gorilla. Stop by for your chance to win free Suns tickets, gift certificates, and more exciting prizes, plus PHNX exclusive prizes when we stop by Spinato's on March 28th. Rumor has it, there's going to be a little shooting contest at this PHNX one that the hosts will be involved in. So we'll see. We'll see.
Said who?
Said Max Simpson.
Oh, interesting.
So,
I didn't get that email. Max.
well, stay ready, okay? You ain't got to get ready if you stay ready, Steven. Oh, he's yawning. He's yawning. Listen, we will see who has the best jump shot over at Spinato's, but I know they have the best pizza. Get all the info on the watch parties and pizza basketball contest at Spinato'sPizzeria.com. Spinato's, the official pizza of the Phoenix Suns. I'm not trying to be an alarmist here, but when we met Carol Royse in office last week, she looked us dead in the eyes and said, how many of you own a home? And I was not one to raise my hand because I'm not. And she said, if you don't own a home in the next 3 years, you're screwed. And you might think as a young person that you're already screwed either way, but Carol's here to sit down with you and lay out a plan to get you to the financial level that you need to be to purchase a home. And she wants you to know that it's not as steep of a hill as you think it is. And that's because Carol's here to invest in you, to make sure you're making the right decision when it comes to buying your first home or selling a home. She keeps it real. She wants to have a conversation. She's not going to just try to make a quick buck, sell your home or buy your home as fast as possible, and you never hear from her again. There was a couple that was trying to sell their home, and Carol looked them dead in the eye and said, don't do it. It'll be the biggest mistake you've ever made in your entire life. And guess what? They didn't sell, and that house went up 3 to 4 times in value over the next year, and they said that was the best thing that has ever happened to them. Carol Royse cares about you, so make sure you go to CarolRoyseTeam.com if you're looking to buy or sell a home, whether it's your first time or you're a seasoned pro. We have some interesting super chats, so we're going to get to those because there's some comments about you that we'll get to. Let's start with Arton. Thanks, Arton, with a $4.99 super chat. This one's not about you. Says, yay, a win. Too bad we have one more game that we are going against a team that's under 500. Thumbs up emoji.
Hey, you can't control the schedule, man. You just got to play who's on the schedule and handle your business. And again, like you said, and like I've continued to bring back up, they are their biggest opponents.
Yeah. Sometimes you need to get right game.
When they don't,
usually the Suns are the get right game.
Nah, for sure. But when they don't beat themselves, they typically beat their opponents.
Yeah, I mean, and this was no regular win.
No.
This, again, was the first time since 2009, almost 20 years, that this has happened.
Mm-hmm. And we got a $4.99 super chat from Melissa. And she says, the PHNX crew is the best. Thanks for all y'all do with an exclamation mark. We appreciate you too,
thank
Melissa.
you, Melissa. And I have a big thank you for Melissa later in this show. Maybe I'll save it for tomorrow, huh? Because I might have to hold that hostage. I might have to hold that over your head. But Melissa, salute to you. Thank you for being here. Bees with a $5 super chat says, let's take a moment to give a shout out to the Suns scouting department for the new twins. Oso and Dunn struck absolute gold with those picks.
Yeah. Man, I don't want to call them the twins because I feel like they're their own type of tandem, but they do have some of those same qualities that those two brought a couple of years ago. There's a youthful exuberance that I keep speaking to that they bring that's just unique from this roster. When they don't have it in the rotation, we see how stale they can look at times, and when they do have it, we see the way that the activity boosts and raises the floor for the team and allows for Booker and Durant to be themselves in a more effective way.
Yeah, and this is a team that's desperately in need of vibes too, right?
Yeah.
And how do you get vibes? You play well, but you also have what?
Youth
and good dudes.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Like good dudes, and you can tell, and just by the way they've handled this entire season, really, really rough situation for them.
Yeah.
And they have just been like 10-year vets, and they are first-year rookies. It does give you faith to where the Suns have picks, but they're all late picks going forward. It's no surprise that I feel like Matt Ishbia has invested in the scouting department. And even before that, I know we don't like to bring up Toumani Camara as a positive because you traded him, and that sucks. But your scouting team still drafted Toumani Camara late in the second round. There is a positive to look at there.
Yeah, there are positives to look at in that, but they just need to make sure that they're continuing to develop those pieces.
Absolutely. Noah!
Yeah.
He keeps regretting this more and more.
$2 from Be Calm See Clearly. This is him talking. Steven's legs are so cutesy, very demure. Babe, I love you.
What do you have to say?
We appreciate you always tapping in with us and supporting the podcast. Be Calm. Thank you.
Would you consider your legs demure?
I would not.
Ooh, new nickname just dropped. Steven Demure
We're
legs.
not doing that.
Cutesy
We are-
legs.
we
That's
are
what the
not
chat's
doing
You
saying.
like
that.
cutesy?
We're
Let's
not
do a
doing
chat.
that either.
Let's do a poll in the chat. What's Steven's new nickname?
Oh my god.
Cutesy legs or demure legs? Let us know. We got a lot of cutesy legs
Or
in the
neither
chat.
is also an option.
No,
as well.
neither.
Neither is definitely
Mina
an
is
option.
chanting cutesy legs. B says you're
And
blushing.
Mina's out of her mind. Bees, I'm not blushing.
Listen, we'll see. Killer X says be calm scares me. Oh, this is fun. Joshua with a $5 super chat says, drunk after the St. Patty's bar night. Enjoyable win finally. Can we play like this on a regular? Joshua, your life is a movie. That sounds like a real good night.
Make sure you take it away, Mo.
Take away Mo home. Don't be stupid, Josh. Don't turn it into a horror movie. Make it a good movie. Make it home. Oh man, Optical Illusion says booger boy with the cutesy legs. Why does it sound like a Taylor Swift lyric?
That's never mind. I can't even
No, say
leave
it.
it alone. Nope,
Say
I'm
it.
leaving it alone.
Yeah, say it.
I'm leaving it alone.
All right, well, let's get back to your cup of tea, or
Mhm.
let's take a look inside the box. Presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union, named by Forbes.
A whole lot of what we want to see more of from this Suns team, dominating the 3-point margin in makes, also winning it on volume, out attempting their opponents from the field, getting more shots on goal than their opponents. The turnovers, turnover points, and them winning the turnover margin in and of itself. Again, a consistent template that when they do, they win games. And then the last one, second quarter, one of the best quarters of the season, probably the best quarter of the season, if we're being honest.
Yeah,
From
absolutely.
start to finish.
Was it? It was 39-11.
Yeah, 39-11. They forced 5 turnovers in that second quarter. They were playing consistently off of their stops, which led to 3-point opportunities in transition after leak out, transition buckets, fast break buckets. They just got it done in that second quarter. And again, when they can repeat even 3/5 of these efforts that we're seeing in what's in the box tonight, that's a template for them to win off of.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the template to win is play athletes, defend, shoot more threes, shoot 51% from 3. And obviously, that's not going to be sustainable against the teams that you're going to face after the Bulls, the Milwaukees,
Yeah.
the Bostons, the Clevelands,
Mhm.
the Minnesotas, the Warriors.
But these are the games where you would hope to build momentum while
Into
continuing to
those.
learn about yourself going into those games. Correct.
And I'll say this too, I'm still team goodbye on Bud, right? I don't really think there's anything he can do for me personally to save this season,
Mhm.
but he has shown the last couple of games that when somebody has proven that they are valuable, he has played them more. And
Yeah.
you have to call a spade a
For
spade.
sure.
And that gives you more confidence to where a couple months ago, we were like, you know what? That was great, but Ryan Dunn's not going to get consistent minutes again. Mason Plumlee is going to play 40 minutes, but now you're like, okay, I kind of see what you're cooking, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I appreciate a coach that is willing to quickly adjust based off of what they're seeing in a what have you done for me lately type of approach. I think some coaches hold on to the rope too long in certain scenarios.
And he was that coach
and
like
it
a month
comes at
ago.
the detriment of the team, correct, which
Yeah.
I was going to get to. He's
Sorry.
been that, yeah, for sure. He's
I'm like,
been that guy.
spit,
been that
SVG,
guy.
spit.
He's been that before. But yeah, he's showing a feel for his roster that he hasn't really shown a majority of this season in his last couple of games now.
Yeah, and hopefully we could just continue to build and build and build on this. We will have some sound from Ryan Dunn here in a second. Gerald will be joining us from PHNX Arena. Everybody make sure you stay locked in. Grab a nice green snack, a nice green beer. We're not going anywhere. Okay, and just keep on hanging out with us. Well, we are, that was kind of crazy of me, Lenny, I will say. That was kind of crazy for me to do. Is there anything else as far as process-wise from this game specifically that you feel like is sustainable to go into not just a game against a bad team like your Chicago Bulls, but good teams like your rival Cleveland Cavaliers?
Oh, my God. The big thing for me continues to be with Oso. It's not just the defense. The defense is pretty much like 90% of what's going to get the attention as it should. And that's the weakness of the team. So naturally, him having a strength on the side where they have a weakness is a positive to work through. But on offense, too, Devin Booker spoke to it a little bit. The screens, his ability to sprint into screens is a fundamental thing. Not many bigs do in the league now. But when Oso's coming up from the baseline, and he's sprinting full speed and then slowing down into a screen, and the big is 2.5, 3 feet behind them, if a big wants to double team Devin Booker, he can't get to that point where he would be able to flatten him out. And now when Devin Booker comes off of that screen, he can just turn the corner. Either that big is going to foul him, he's able to get around the corner, and now it's a 5-on-4 or 5-on-3 advantage going downhill between Booker, Oso, and the 3 players that are spaced. And there's just a lot of advantages that Oso creates off his IQ. With his screening, flipping angles to then creating the advantage for a guard to come off of, which oftentimes ends up playing into his role, whether he's getting it in a short roll or he's got the gravity that pulls in the second side defense and someone else is open. Point being, Oso is a really good basketball player. He's also very smart. He's not just out there doing things off the field. He's actually using his IQ as well, and the impact is comprehensive at this point.
Man, you're so good at your job because you don't even know this. The clip that we have to play from Ryan Dunn is about Oso Iguodaro's defensive IQ. And also about the fact that Book mentioned how the rookies have built a rapport together on that end.
Just like you said, having those effort plays and being a little smart on defensive end, we come from great defensive programs and we learn all about that. So the biggest thing is effort and talking defensively. We can have all the scheme, but if we're not flying around and we're kind of static, that's not going to work. So I think that's the first thing we've been doing, and then just learning about what we're doing on the defensive schemes, whether it's tagging a roller or scrambling out and trying to communicate and premeditate before the play happens. Like if we got to scramble or close out, being able to talk like that helps us a lot.
Again, they just get it. You don't say things if you don't really know what you're actually speaking to. And one of the best ways to identify that you know what you're talking about is if you can explain it in a way that's digestible and understandable to your audience. Ryan Dunn just put that on display right there. Also, Iguodaro put that on display before his draft when he was on the podcast and he was breaking down the defense of the Golden State Warriors and talking about why these rotations were being made. Like,
calling out the plays all before they happen and everything.
This is not a team. That's not a team that he's playing with. That's not a team that he's been at practice with. He's just speaking the game. That's one of the best ways to kind of identify the IQ of someone. And those two speak it well, and that's why their communication and the activity and they sustain it on the defensive end of the floor is as high as it is, and how it raised the floor for the other 3 players that share it with them.
Dunn knows defense like the back of his left hand. It just comes naturally to him. It's been a while since we made a joke.
Crazy.
It's been a while since we made a joke like that. I think underrated part of the synergy between Dunn, Iguodaro, Booker, and Durant is because Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, with star players, I think this gets lost a lot. 2 of the smartest players in the NBA. And when you are operating on that level of intelligence to where Booker can be the type of guy to drop 13 assists in a game and go between scoring and passing, and Kevin Durant is so smart. If you don't think that scoring like that takes an incredible amount of mental fortitude of angles and understanding defenses and when to apply pressure, when to kind of fade away, those 2 smart, incredible players always want to play with other smart players. And that's why beyond the athleticism, beyond like the defense, right, and the energy, that's why those 4 mesh so well together.
Yeah. And I'm not speaking on this for this season in particular. I'm just speaking forward. But if you're talking about players that you want in the 16-game season that is the playoffs, you have to win 16 games to get a chip. The best teams have the highest collective IQs. Boston Celtics, Oklahoma City Thunder, Cleveland Cavaliers nowadays, even the Denver Nuggets.
And like young up-and-coming teams like the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah. Those teams, the teams that are successful when you get to that level or you get to high leverage moments, have an IQ. And you can't play consistently good defense if the IQ is not shared. It can't just be one person. It has to be shared. You have to speak the same language on the same accord. And when those 2 are on the court with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, the numbers speak for themselves. Yeah,
absolutely. Speaking of numbers, for all the numbers that are watching on TV, the party always continues over at GoPHNX.com. We appreciate all of you who are tapping in with us. Gerald should be here in just a second. I want to remind everybody that over on GoPHNX.com, you can always find Gerald's incredible writing. Also, if you are trying to catch up on your Cody Martin and Ryan Dunn defensive IQ, guess what? Steven has a Ryan Dunn, like 15-minute breakdown. Those are always real meaty. You can dive into those. I go at our PHNX Sports YouTube page. Gerald did a Cody Martin Bourget breakdown, and you did a Cody Martin breakdown about a month and a half ago when he first got traded here. That's all for you on our YouTube page. I believe those are also on GoPHNX.com, and I'm going to hold Gerald hostage. So y'all better hit that like. We need 9 more likes to get to 200, okay? That's halfway to our like goal. We got a long way to go, okay? If you want to see girth, you better hit that like button. And guess what? Gerald's mad. Gerald doesn't want to be held hostage. And guess what? Gerald can't get mad at me because it's not my fault that you guys aren't hitting the like button. So hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to PHNX Sports. Okay, you know what? Should I reason with them? Should I be nice? Should I make it okay? That's fine. We'll give you the girth.
Beyond the light, there shall only be one. Welcome to
It's time for From the Home Court with a hostage situation. It's Gerald Bourget, of course, brought to you by our friends over at the Carol Royse Team, your home sold guaranteed realty, where Carol will guarantee the sale of your home for 100% of the market value, or she's going to pay you the difference. Learn more at carolroyseteam.com. Well, guess what? They hit 200 likes anyway. We all win. Gerald, the Suns win for the first time since 2009, a 40-plus point victory. You told me top 5 loudest that arena has been all season.
Yeah, especially down the stretch when Bol's getting lobs in transition to go up 30. It was pretty loud in there. It was nice to see them actually come out, get one of their biggest wins of the season in terms of largest margins of victory. And they definitely needed it because we know the schedule's about to heat up in a very real way after this game and after the Bulls game on Wednesday. They play about 10 straight games against contenders or certified playoff teams. So it was good that they were able to bounce back from an ugly first quarter because it was starting to feel like very familiar territory. And lo and behold, the rookies and the guys who try on defense came in and they went on a run. Who'd have thunk it?
Gerald, we can talk about the plot of the game, and you always speak to when players talk about the fans and whatnot. You always rebut with they have to give them a reason to be engaged in the game. And that reason was predominantly the defense in this one, unique from any other game where the crowd has been on their feet and cheering so loudly this season. Can you just kind of speak to what the general conversations were about how successful they were in a sustained manner on the defensive end of the floor?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you look at that second quarter when I think they won that quarter 39-11 overall. They closed out the second quarter on a big run, and a lot of that was with their defense. You know, obviously the Raptors are not whole. They're not a very good team even when they are whole, but to hold any NBA team, no matter what form, to 11 points in a quarter, that's good defense. You're doing something right. And, you know, it speaks volumes that a lot of that was with the rookies on the floor. Devin Booker mentioned that specifically when I asked him about how fun it is playing with the rookies. And he said that second quarter was a lot of fun. The rookies were on the court for pretty much all of that. Not so subliminally hinting at the fact that these rookies need to be on the court and they make his life easier on both ends. So, you know, when you've got Ryan Dunn out there doing what he does, when you have Oso Ighodaro, who Mike Budenholzer spoke to his defensive IQ, he said, when you think of basketball IQ, a lot of people think of the offensive end, but his defensive IQ shouldn't go overlooked in that. And then you've got Cody Martin throwing him into the mix in the first quarter and the second quarter, and giving him his first sustained run of the season. And he has 3 steals. He has some deflections. He's sprinting the floor in transition. All of these little things that don't sound like much, and some of them don't always show up on the box sheet, really provide the blueprint for how you build around Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. It's not that difficult. Cody Martin isn't some fantastic high caliber NBA player, but he's a guy who knows his role, who hustles, and who does the little things defensively. So I think that was on full display in that second quarter, and the crowd obviously responded to it. You respond to buckets more than anything else, but the Suns team doesn't get any of those without first laying the groundwork on the other end of the floor.
Gerald, I've been very quick to criticize Mike Budenholzer, especially over the last couple of months, but recently it feels like he's been pushing the right buttons. And some of that is, due to injuries. Obviously, Grayson Allen still out tonight. Bradley Beal now will be out for a week, but it does feel like he's been more willing to go to that youth than to throw a couple different looks in there. Does that feel like something that could, in theory, I know it's hard to use this word, be sustainable for this team going forward as they face the Bulls and then just an onslaught of really good teams?
I'm kind of on the fence about it. I'm not 100% sold, and it seems crazy to say that, but there's just little hints. Like you mentioned, I think this stretch has kind of forced his hand to where he hasn't had any other choice. No, we have seen Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro benched earlier in the season for guys that are still available, so it's good that he at least changed it up in that way. Again, I continue to hammer home that it shouldn't have taken this long to get to this point. I can't help but think of what the Suns' record might look like if they had played Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro consistently for the last 2 or 3 months. But even with that, I asked Mike Budenholzer about how he liked Colin Gillespie with the starters. And he kind of talked about Colin for like 5 seconds and then went on a whole rant about how good Tyus Jones was tonight with the shot making, with the playmaking, with how he fit alongside Book. And he was good. And Tyus didn't have a good game last game. He's had a good 3 out of 4, I think. So that's fair to give credit where it's due. But it also doesn't give me much encouragement moving forward that the guys that are showing the defense, that are showing some of the things that this team has clearly been lacking, are going to continue to get those same minutes once Bradley Beal is back, once Grayson Allen is back. But this is a big week coming up because with Brad Beal out for the next 3 games at least, based on that reevaluation date, this is kind of your last easy, quote unquote, stretch where you can string together wins and show something with those guys out. And hopefully they're able to do so because I think they still have something to prove. Like Cody Martin, I don't know if Cody Martin gets any minutes if Grayson Allen and Bradley Beal are both available tonight.
Gerald, were there any other conversations about the production that they got from the role players, specifically from that bench group in this one?
Not a ton of it. The focus was mostly on the rookies tonight, and then obviously Bud kind of going on his Tyus praise session there. But I thought it was very good tonight. Like, obviously, you look at the bench points. We did talk to Monte Morris after the game. He came in his 5 minutes of fame and just shot the blazes out of the ball, which was awesome for him because he hasn't played in weeks, dealing with that low back injury, kind of working his way back. And I'll be honest, I still don't think he's gotten a fair shake this season. I think earlier in the year he was playing pretty well off that bench, and then his minutes kind of got phased out there. But it was good to see a lot of that bench production tonight. I think the Suns are moving towards a suitable-ish rotation. It's just how are the returns of Bradley Beal and Grayson Allen going to impact that?
Was there anything other from this game that really stood out to you, either something you did or you didn't see?
Not entirely. Honestly, I feel like this was kind of a straightforward one. The first quarter was a little dicey, but then they did what they needed to do against a bad opponent, against an easy opponent. They played with a little bit of desperation. I know people are kind of going to focus on, the whole Kevin Durant aspect of it all, especially since I think he sat the first 8 minutes of that second quarter when the Suns went on a run. I'm not putting too much into that one way or the other. I'm sure people have been warring over it in my mentions in the chat tonight. I don't think it was because Durant was on the bench that they went on that run. I think it's because the Raptors are not very good and the Suns rookies played with a lot of energy, and Kevin Durant came in and contributed and it was fine. So I think Bud was just riding the hot hand. It wasn't like some moment of animosity on the sidelines or anything like that. KD was still engaged and cheering on the rookies and his teammates throughout that stretch, so I don't want anyone to overreact to that. But I know that's probably something that everyone was talking about for a little bit.
My last one is just a comment. Gerald, you deserve this win. It's not been the most fun having to regurgitate the same conversations time after time after loss after loss. And the last 2 home games have been a lot more fun, and you've gotten a lot more thorough answers to different questions than we've seen in recent memory. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It makes my life a lot easier when they win because these guys are a lot more talkative when they're in a good mood after a W like this. That's for sure.
I got one last thing for you, Gerald. I want you to give your opinion on Steven's new nickname.
Okay.
We have decided, based off of Super Chats, that Steven's new nickname is Cutesy Legs. How do you feel about that?
Did you say
Exactly.
cutesy legs?
That is exactly what I said.
Oh, man, Steven just stays with getting nicknames that he did not ask for or deserve.
Well, you're saying that he doesn't have cute legs? What the hell, Gerald?
I mean, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I feel like Steven feels like we could do better on the nickname front.
Well, there was another
A whole
option.
lot
It was
better.
Demure Legs. Is that better?
Not demure. God, I thought that had died. Didn't that die?
Well, no,
Can we
it's
let that
alive
die?
and well in the PHNX Suns chat. We appreciate you tuning in, Gerald. Of course, make sure you check out Gerald on socials at Gerald Bourget. You can find all of his fantastic writing over at gophnx.com. It's a homestand, so that also means that Gerald will be out at practice and availabilities, getting all the sound and everything you could possibly desire. So, of course, follow him, like I mentioned, at Gerald Bourget. Thanks, Gerald.
Thanks, guys, and shout out to my friend Jess who got me this pin with my name on it and a Cinnabon picture.
Woo!
See you guys.
Cinnabon Gerald. Yeah. All right, y'all. Let's hit a couple super chats and then let's get out of here. Melissa, I'm gonna save the gift that you sent me maybe for the Bulls pre and post game because it's juicy. Arizona 88 says get Book, Bull, or Dunn on this show. Great idea, Arizona 88.
We get Bull in the show, we gotta zoom out on the camera.
Yeah.
Because he's not gonna fit in this frame.
Listen, man, give me their contact information. I got you, brother. Arthur with a $5 super chat says, when everyone plays defense, a night like this can happen. First 40-point win since the Nash era. Cody Martin is my player of the game. Straw that broke the camel.
That's what Cody does. He's
Love
a
it.
fire starter on defense.
Love it, love it, love it. Chris in the chat, good friend of yours, said that Gerald was blushing.
Chris in the chat is, I'll talk to you later, Christopher.
Wow, Christopher is crazy. All right, you ready to wrap things up, Steven?
You out of here.
You out of here, Demure Legs?
No comment.
What a
That's
crazy
cutesy
post
legs to you.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
That's
sorry.
neither to either one of y'all. How about that?
Man, this post game show has had it all. We had Noah playing the
Yes.
sexy sax. Got a new nickname for you. We got the blue collar boys with their white collar friend in Tyus Jones. Got Takalo Oso Iguodaro. I mean, this is just this was such a wonderful experience. And the Suns got a 40-point victory. Of course,
we also got some Chicago peeps up past their bedtime,
they're asking
in
you
our
to
chat.
stand up.
and I got nothing for them.
You got nothing for them. Well, guess what? We got something for y'all. A 3 o'clock live show tomorrow. You don't get many of those in the season, but we got one of those going down tomorrow at 3. We're going to be, of course, recapping this game, giving you the latest from practice. We're going to talk about maybe some other things that stand in the way of the Suns making the play-in, and who knows what other Suns news is going to break. We'll be talking about that at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Just a scheduling note. Then, of course, it's Bulls at 7 p.m. tip-off on Wednesday, pre- and post-game show. I will be off Thursday and Friday show. I'm doing a 24-hour stream for PHNX Sun Devils through March Madness. That's going to be madness in its own right. So all of you who've been begging for Espo, I get it. He's been busy making sure that this podcast can stay alive. This company can stay alive, GMing it up. He will be back later this week. So keep your eye out for that. It's going to be Espo. It's going to be Cutesy Legs, and it's going to be Girth. All for you right here on PHNX Sports. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button as well. Turn notifications on if you're watching YouTube after the fact. We appreciate all of you as well who stick with us throughout the entire show. Hit that like button if you're watching on YouTube after the fact as well. And if you are listening on audio, hit that 5-star. But I would encourage you, if you ever had the chance to come check out the live chat, some nights it can just get really, really crazy. Thank you, Anya, Optical Illusion, Melissa, Meatloaf, Bees, Mina, Christopher,
Yeah,
Wow
exactly.
Factor, everybody in the chat, everybody who dropped super chats. This season has not been fun. Tonight was fun, and you guys always make it fun. So let's have some fun when we all talk again tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.